What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into the Beantown Boys' NBA offseason as we get ready for the 25-26 NBA campaign. And today's video won't be for the faint of heart because let me just tell you, this one we're breaking down the tanking opportunity. And before I either get you excited or make you mad, do me a favor. If it's your first time tuning into the content, hit the subscribe button. Let's boost those numbers. Hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet, sweet Celtics content. So let's get into the tank. Let's just hear me out for a second, okay? We know Jason Tatum is most likely going to be done for the entirety of the NBA regular season. I know there's some Twitter doctors out there. Brad Stevens was a little vague. They're not ruling him out for the season, but they're also not putting a timetable on it. But let's, just for the sake of this conversation, assume Tatum is not going to play this NBA season. Let's look at the rest of this Boston Celtics roster. We'll look at the rest of the East and then just try to survey the landscape to see where we land, okay? So Celtics right now, assuming their starting five is going to consist of something like Anthony Simons, assuming he's still there, which we will for now, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, probably Georges Niang, and then at the five, let's say it's Neemias Queta, could be Luka Garza, could be Xavier Tillman. Whichever of those is not starting will be coming off the bench, right? We get the young guys in Baylor Shireman, Hugo Gonzalez, Peyton Pritchard in this scenario is still coming off the bench. Who knows what we get from the other young guys like Max Suga, Amari Williams, Jordan Walsh, the third-year guy, right? Like, so there are enough guys out there, but none that are screaming, hey, we're going to be real good this year. Now, I know it is the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference, maybe not the most talented of conferences, and we still do have Jaylen Brown, and I want to, be so clear. None of what I'm about to say is supposed to be slanderous towards, the good guys on the Celtics. I think Jaylen Brown, if he wants to and if the front office will allow him to, is going to put up all NBA numbers. I'm saying top 10 in the NBA next year, statistically speaking. He will make a second-team All-NBA, probably average over 28 points, 5 and 5. He should be a starter in the All-Star game. That's where I'm putting him. Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, probably two fringe All-Star candidates. None of this is slanderous towards them. Let's look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, okay? So the Knicks and the Cavs, we can comfortably put them ahead of the Celtics, at least for regular season standings. We don't have to get into the postseason, whatever, but let's just remind ourselves that the Knicks team beat the Celtics with Tatum, and now we don't have Tatum. So let's put those two teams ahead of them. I'm going to go ahead. I know they've yet to win an NBA postseason. I'm going to go ahead and put the Orlando Magic ahead of them. The starting five of Desmond Bane, who's going to be out there. They've got Paolo. They've got Franz. Wendell Carter Jr. a little weak at the five. We also know that they scooped up Tyus Jones as well. They got Mo Wagner back on a very team-friendly deal. Orlando is going to be very difficult to deal with. They still have some of their young guys in Anthony Black and Tristan De Silva as well. So Orlando, I think, is going to finish, at least regular season speaking, ahead of the Boston Celtics. I'm also going to put the A-Town down, Atlanta Hawks. I know, again, Atlanta, weird team, but listen, now they have Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson. They have Zachary Sachet off an impressive rookie season. Onyeka Okongwu, Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard. That is a deep, legit team who was already playing some okay basketball before Jalen Johnson went out. I think they are going to finish ahead of the Celtics. You have the Bucks, who I think are going to be a watered-down version of themselves, yet they still have Giannis Antetokounmpo. They picked up Miles Turner. Their backcourt is as sus as it gets with Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr., but I could see the Bucks and the Celtics finishing in similar situations. I know the 76ers are a hospital team, right? Paul George somehow already had surgery. It's already a question mark. Joel Embiid, there was a wild and beautifully done piece on ESPN about Embiid's tenure with the Sixers. We don't know what his situation is going to look like. However, they do get Maxey back. They get McCain back. They had the third overall pick with Edgecombe. They still have Oubre there as well. Kyle Lowry, the corpse of Kyle Lowry, is coming back as well. So, the Sixers could still be in that range as well. You have the Zombie Heat, who are having a weird offseason, but they do still have Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. The Detroit Pistons, who we haven't talked about yet, who almost took down the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. Their young core is only getting better. So the East is just it's not good, but neither, when you're comparing these rosters, I see it, right? And the Raptors, another team, right? They get Brandon Ingram, who's finally back, Emmanuel Quickly, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett. Like, they got 5 better guys than what the Celtics have. I mean, Jaylen Brown's the best player of all of those guys. I think I'd put him ahead of Scotty Barnes. But as a whole, that Raptors team is a better team. The Hornets are going to be bad. I'm not really worried about the Hornets or the Wizards for that matter. I'm sure I'm forgetting another team in this run. The Chicago Bulls, Celtics should be better than them. Anyways, all of that to say, yes, the Celtics are not like the worst team in the Eastern Conference, but at best case scenario, they finish like 4th or 5th. Now, and I think if the Celtics play it the way that I think they're going to, is instead of playing Jaylen Brown 77 games, you play him 55. You play Derek White 55 games. And then you kind of see what you got in your young guys. Let Baylor Shireman cook. Let Hugo Gonzalez cook. Bring up some of these G League guys. J.D. Davison, G League MVP. Let's see what we got out of you. And I think they do this to keep themselves on the lower half of the Eastern Conference bracket. Now, I laid all of this out because even though like they might finish 9th, right? Maybe they still make the play-in in the Eastern Conference, even by trying to tank, right? They're still behind. They're still ahead of teams like Brooklyn and Charlotte and Washington. We already called them out. But you look at the Western Conference, the only teams that are going to be like straight up bad, the Utah Jazz, the Phoenix Suns. Is that it? Like, Portland's going to be better. San Antonio is going to be better. The Pelicans don't even have their first-round pick. They have to try and be better. So I do think, even if the Celtics finish 9th, we're looking at a top 10 pick in next year's NBA draft. That's all before saying we know they still need to get out of the second apron under the tax, right? And they have until the trade deadline to do that. So let's look at a couple of potential moves. We mentioned Simons a couple of times so far. I do think Anthony Simons, like there are ways to move Anthony Simons for picks. They might not be the juiciest of picks, but any sort of draft capital, any sort of assets that we can acquire now, saying we like them a part of the front office, it gives them some more flexibility when they get to the draft. In case, say, they get the 9th ping pong ball, a 9th overall pick, they have the opportunity to try to use, bring those assets together to try to move up. So Simons, we already talked about the Dallas Mavericks as being a potential team. I do think both, for Simons and for Sam Hauser, the Atlanta Hawks are like a very intriguing team. They do still have a ton of draft capitals. They somehow have the Pelicans unprotected first-round pick next year, which is insane. But if they are able to get, they're not going to get that pick from Atlanta. But if they are able to get other assets from Atlanta so that Atlanta can add another shooter to the team. The Memphis Grizzlies, another team we've talked about before, where we included a deal, Simons for Brandon Clark, Vince Williams Jr., and John Conchar. There's still an opportunity to make a move like that and to even get some picks from Memphis as well. Because I do think Memphis is going to be a little bit competitive and would be interested in both Simons, which again, that's like a big $30 million you cut off the top, but also Sam Hauser, who I do think, I know the chat has been a little crazy asking for 2 first-round picks for Sam Hauser. I think that's nuts. I think it's more likely a second round, 2 second rounds, maybe a late protected or a heavy protected first-round pick. I think the Detroit Pistons are another team to watch. We know Malik Beasley was doing a lot of outside stuff, right? We're talking about placing some bets, allegedly. But they did add Duncan Robinson, but they still have a ton of flexibility too, and adding somebody like a Sam Hauser or going a little bit stronger to get a playmaker when Cade's off the floor, even though they do have Jaden Ivey and somebody like Anthony Simons to get some assets for them. I think that could be spicy. We know Chicago is just a dumb organization. They might be open to moving off some picks. So all of this to say, I do think the Celtics will have opportunities if they decide to steer the wheel into the tank to like really position themselves to not only land high up in the lottery, right? And like, let's go back to the lottery for a second. The 3 teams that finished, the top 3 teams, it wasn't the freaking Hornets, the Wizards, and the Jazz like everybody thought it was going to be. It was the Dallas Mavericks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Philadelphia 76ers. All you need to do is be in that realm of possibility to have a chance. But even if, like we were saying, if they land in the 7 hole, the 8 hole, whatever, if you're able to kind of bring some assets together to try to jump up, there is a real opportunity to do that. So I do think that, like, normally when we do these videos and we talk about Simons trades or Sam Hauser trades, it's like, what kind of player could we get back? I don't want to do that in this video. Instead, what I want to do is just kind of rattle off, because we did it a little bit in a previous video, some of the potential draft picks that could that could really change the trajectory of the Boston Celtics, and not only like continue to make them win now when Tatum returns, even though Tatum's in the pool, I don't think he's coming back this season. For when Tatum returns, they're like ready to hit the ground running, and they're also injected with some youth, which is so important in this current state of the NBA, because you can't afford to be paying all of these guys. So you need some of these rookies to pop off. And one of the consistent things we've been hearing from the chat in the comments is that the Celtics don't do a good job drafting. You want to know what's hard? Nailing late first round picks. So this would be an opportunity to give themselves a shot to like really go after something. So let's go into some of the potential draft picks that we could land that would like really help right away. And this is how deep this class is right now, that like even if you land like an 8th overall pick, that could do something. So there's a guard out of Kansas. His name's Darren Peterson. He's regarded as by many as like the leading candidate for the #1 pick due to his polished two-way skill set. He's got elite size, 6'6" for a ball handling guard, and prolific scoring ability. Peterson starred as a prolific prep out in California, had a 61-point game, and will run the offense this year. So if we do go into tank mode, my suggestion for you, check out Rock Chalk Jayhawk in Kansas basketball just to get a feel for it. Now, I'm probably going to screw up this name, and I apologize, but AJ DeBonsa. And honestly, he's the guy that I'm most excited about, even though I'm not confident I said his name correctly. He's going to be at BYU. BYU famously bringing out Jimmer Fredette, famous for some other stuff too. He's a dynamic 6'9" shot creator and shot maker. Can you imagine having these three wings, right? If the Celtics decide to go small, we've already seen Tatum play 5. You get Tatum at the 5, AJ at the 4, JB at the 3, Derek White, and then Pritchard most likely as your starting 5 in a game. That would be like a crazy formation because he's got shot creation, shot making, he's got upside, and is a long-time contender for the top pick. His athleticism, ability to score at all 3 levels of the game, and improving decision-making kept him alive among the draft's elites. So, like, again, checking out BYU, because if you get a 6'9" guy, that's like Michael Porter Jr. shit, except he can actually dribble, doesn't have a bad back, and can play make a little bit, right? The shot creation, the shot for himself and for others, I mean, God, a 6'9" wing, sign me up. And then we've got the Boozer Bros. How about Cameron Boozer? All right, maybe you're like, hey, I don't want to get like College League Pass or whatever the hell it's called. I'll just watch Duke when they're on ESPN. Cameron Boozer is going to Duke, son of Carlos Boozer, who was on some like reality show, I think, out in Utah. Or no, he's not. It's not. The reality show's not in Utah, but I think he works for the Jazz. I don't know. Famously, that beard, you know, the Boozer beard. Anyways, he's he's got like skill, he's got size, he's got high basketball IQ, standout performance at the Nike Hoop Summit. He had 22, 16, and 6, projects as a versatile high floor big. We like this guy because the Celtics are so desperate for bigs. Imagine if they're, again, just a quick reset, right? Nehemias Queta, Luka Garza, Tillman, get your run. We have a bad season, but a great pick, and then we're able to get a big that can immediately impact winning. Love to see that. I'll give you a couple more prospects here that I highlighted. Nate Ament, who's a wing from Tennessee. Again, the wing position we don't need as much as maybe like a point guard or a big, but he's a late riser in the top pick debate. He's 6'11". We're talking about a big-ass wing. 6'11", exceptional fluidity, shot making, and defensive versatility. He'll be closely watched, too. He's going to be like Tennessee's #1 guy. So, again, you're not looking for College League Pass, but you want to watch some SEC hoops. Tennessee will give it to you. We got another Kentucky big man here, Jaden Quaintance. Highly athletic and productive big man. Praised for his rim protection and his physicality. That makes perfect sense with what the Celtics are looking to do. Listen, I've already listed off, 5 dudes so far. This is if we get a top 5 pick. Let's look at Mikel Brown. He's a guard out of Louisville, one of the more skilled playmakers and scorers in the draft. He's got real quick at the point. We like that. You got Elijah Arenas, related to Gilly Arenas, two-way guard, strong rep in high school, scores mentality, had that scary accident, but is good to go. So USC, that's USC hoops. Let's do a couple more and then we'll wrap up. Kareem Lopez. How about Kareem Lopez? He's a forward. He's over in New Zealand, mate. Terrible. He plays for the Breakers, international prospect with impressive size and skills for his position. Again, another big guy that would make a ton of sense. And then Chris Sinak out of Houston. Versatile big, strong rebounding, inside and out in offensive ability. Those are the ones that I really highlighted. I'll give you a couple more notables just in case you really want it. Tunde Yusuf, he's out of Baylor. You got Dash Daniels, who's another international prospect. That's a fun one. We've got Dame Sarr out of Barcelona. Caleb Wilson out of UNC. That's going to do it. We don't need to hit too many more. But see, all I'm saying is that I know, like, we're so used to competing in the postseason every year, and I get it. It's way more fun when we're deep in the postseason. But if our ceiling right now, realistically speaking, is like first round and out, or like a tough first round series swept in the second round, if that is our realistic ceiling and we're able to zoom out and be like, hey, listen, man, you're paying Tatum a max contract. You're paying Jaylen Brown a max contract. This is the best way to make this team a championship caliber team without having to go like crazy over the second apron, right? And we'll be out of the repeater tax if we get out of it. We'll be under the second apron. You get a top tier prospect, and then bang, you're right back in it. I know it doesn't feel good to lose games on purpose. And can you imagine Joe Mazzulla dealing with this? I'm sure he's going to be a nutcase trying to make Jordan Walsh average 35 or something. But anyways, I think this is the path forward for the Celtics for 1 year. I think it's the right way to go. I don't necessarily believe they'll do it, but I think they should do it. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think. Would love to hear some feedback here. And let me get into some of your comments over there from today or yesterday's most recent video. Excuse me. But I think there was a lot of relief there that we did not pay Damian Lillard that $42 million. That was kind of the common sentiment where, like, it would have been nice to have Dame, but not going to happen. I want to shout out Divine Comedy 232 saying I would love to see Bol. I agree, man. Bol is fun as hell, especially if you're not going to try to be good on purpose. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Ford Bashman said, let's be real. Dame went for money and retirement, period. Coming off Achilles, he bet on his future, not championship. You know what? I think that's fine, though. I think, like, we're in this culture where we're just like, this dude's a loser, man. This dude's a loser. Didn't want a chip. Like, he got to go play closer to his family, be a good dad, while also making way more money. Dude, shouts to Dame. Shouts to Dame. There we go. DJ G94 Benz says, Simons and Hauser to Brooklyn for Michael Porter Jr. See, this is one of those rare ones where I think both teams say no. I don't want Michael Porter Jr. in his back. He's got like crazy back issues. His podcast is wild, so no thank you. I do like the idea of, but I also think Boston would say no, but Brooklyn's also like, wait, you're giving us Simons and Hauser for who? Although maybe Brooklyn would be happy to get off that Michael Porter Jr. contract because that is a lot of dollars. Let's see, a lot of Bol love. Shout out Jason McNamara, who actually inspired this video because he said the Celtics do have until the trade deadline to make the moves to get under the aprons or the luxury tax. So you don't have to freak out yet if they don't do it. Samuel Henry said they got to trade Simons and Hauser, shred some salary. So that does seem to be the common take. And last but not least, we got Troubadour at Heart said the Celtics need to tank and get a high lottery pick next year. Absolutely necessary to be ready for Tatum's return in 26. And then Joe said, with what we have as a team, the front office has no choice but to tank. But Ken Westbrooks, we'll end with him, said the Celtics don't need to tank. Brad can pick 30th and still get one of the 5 best players of the draft. That is like crazy Brad Stevens love, and I'm here for it. And speaking of love, appreciate everybody tuning into the content recently. It's been fun seeing the channel grow. Thank you for being along for the ride. Hit the subscribe on the way out. Like the video. Get involved in the chat. We'll see you next time.